Our Rebalance project is about rebalancing democracy and capitalism.
Our Rebalance project focuses on corporate power. Corporate power has two dimensions. First, corporations can directly impact individuals and communities through their business operations. And second, they may influence governance through political intervention.
Our team in Wageningen looks at how states and the EU have attempted to control corporate behavior and impact on human rights and democracy. This is a very broad area, so we have decided to focus our efforts on one aspect: the relationships between the concept of the rule of law and corporate actors. The rule of law concept is about regulating power and protection against arbitrary actions by powerful actors. Traditionally, the rule of law framework has focused on state actors. But with the rise of corporate influence, we see a growing need to explore the relevance of this framework for non-state actors.
We developed a methodology for measuring corporate impact on the rule of law. It includes factors such as preventing corporate capture, addressing structural inequality, ensuring transparency, protecting fundamental rights, and others. This is the first attempt to create such a methodology. For now, we have the core idea, but the methodology will require further testing and refinement, which will be the next step of our research.
In the Stockholm University team, we're studying how companies and industry associations have reacted to the EU's new Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, among other supply chain regulations. You might think that companies in countries that already have similar laws, namely France and Germany, would support the directive as a way to level the playing field and force costs onto their competitors. But that's not what happened. We're finding that companies in these countries saw the EU directive as a way to renegotiate the conditions that they faced at home, potentially seeking to weaken their existing regulations. Some reputation-sensitive companies did support the directive, which helped it to pass, although in a weakened form. This has major implications for how we theorize multinational firms and their political strategies, and also signals the debates about competitiveness and regulation that are happening currently.
In the Venice University team, we're studying how corporations have influenced Europe's plan to reduce pollutant emissions from passenger cars. While indeed Europe managed to reduce CO2 emissions from 2035, it wasn't able to do the same with non-CO2 pollutants. The Euro 7 regulation on non-CO2 pollutants was indeed heavily watered down in its core element, and this is allegedly due to the strong opposition of the automotive industry towards the regulatory file. What we're doing is reconstructing the network of all actors that have tried to influence the Euro 7 regulation, and what we're noticing is that their capacity to leverage the opportunities offered by the EU regulatory environment to their benefit is of paramount importance to explain current legislative outcomes in the EU. And this is of paramount importance for how we theorize corporate lobbying and interaction between business and government in time of sustainable transition. While the EU is actively reaffirming its control on the governance of business conduct through an increase in regulation, it also risks leading to an increase in spillover effects in the influence of interlinked regulations.
In the University of Pisa team, we are studying what types of firms are more likely to abuse human rights and whether such involvement has decreased after the introduction of the 2011 UN Guiding Principles on Business Human Rights. Assessing the prevalence of business-related human rights violations in corporate strategies and identifying the factors driving such abuses are crucial steps to advance policy interventions to strengthen democracies. Our project has so far focused on the building of a novel open-access dataset encompassing allegations of human rights abuses, for example, of 84 European multinational corporations from 2000 to 2020. The allegations have been manually codified using information from the Business Human Rights Resource Center, and in total we scrutinized over 25,000 articles and reports related to the companies in our sample, and we codified over 6,100 allegations of human rights.
At the University of Pisa, we focus on another important aspect of the relationship between democracy and capitalism, which is how the business sector influences the voting behavior of citizens. Our research question explores whether individuals subjected to long-term business-related human rights abuses are more inclined to abstain from voting or to support populist parties. We examined this question using the case of Ilva, a steel plant in Taranto, Italy, where toxic emissions have long violated residents' right to health and life. By combining electoral and pollution data from 2012 to 2020, we revealed that neighborhoods most affected by pollution experience lower voter turnout and also find that pollution has an impact on populist vote. Overall, our findings show that corporate misconduct undermines democracy.
I'm policy officer for Beyond Chocolate, the Belgian multi-stakeholder initiative on sustainable cocoa, and two conclusions resonate in particular with me. We need to look at national contexts, and we need to recognize and monitor voluntary measures, because it's in these developing country contexts where there's poverty, where there's so much work to be done for the planet and for the people.
And I think that for too long, businesses especially have just stayed quiet and silent and thought that business is just for its own sake. Which is not true. It's actually for the people.
I really appreciate that this initiative brings together people from different backgrounds, from corporates, from the academic side, and that we can share good practices, good examples, how to foster democracy, and that we really support democratic values, common values, and always talk about that.